If you have seen Squid Game, you know there are two guys who really sets themselves apart from the rest of the contestants. I am of course talking about Thanos and his boyfriend Namgyu. The drugged-up lunatics are having a little too much fun goofing around whilst everyone is getting murdered. But it did make me wonder, what would if these baddies actually survived and ended up in court for their actions? From munching candy from a holy cross, to watching the life leave out of people their eyes. These guys have some rethinking to do. Let's start with Thanos. Just like the Infinity Stones, there are 6 crimes our Thanos is adding to his collection, and I'm pretty sure one of them might surprise you. First off, we have his terrible but interesting Riz game. We really get to know the guy in Red Light, Green Light. He seems like an interesting person who is very outgoing, and he even got bars.
수많은 이들 속 차지 않네 바로. Bowed you no choke, I'm a legend Thanos.
He is becoming pretty friendly with this pretty lady until a bee ends up on her neck. Gi-hun was working hard to save everyone, but Thanos somehow turned a pickup line about bees and flowers into her death.
네가 꽂힌 거 하나 봐. 너한테 벌이 앉았어.
This wasn't his fault though, as he still thought they were playing a game. But then life became a little too real for him, so he decided to pray to his god, and he was finally free. But he was having a bit too much fun and decided to tag the players in front of him.
Ding.
A pretty fun move if you'd ask me, but now these players get shot and his villain arc begins. He could have easily saved these people, but now he will have to be locked up for quite a while. Korea is a pretty strict country, but for those wondering, this is not a murder, as in the case of murder there needs to be evidence of some sort of premeditated plan or intention. This is, however, either manslaughter, 3 times that is, or it would be some sort of negligence. But as manslaughter can also be a form of negligence, it's pretty clear. In Korea, you can be sentenced for no less than 7 years per unalive person. So in this case, that's 21 years behind bars. I'm sorry, bro. At least it seems you are enjoying yourself towards the finish line. This brings us to his next crime on the list. What were those Infinity Stones he was munching on that made him escape reality? I'm not sure, but this guy wants some of it.
저 그거 하면 안 돼요? 저도 형 아까 했던 거 그 십자가 안에 있었던 거 있잖아.
I don't know what the fuck are you talking about?
저 떨려서 제가 게임 못하면 우리 다 죽어요.
이거 새로 합성한 거라 완전 fucking crazy, man.
Based on all the evidence, we can pretty clearly state this is a stimulant with a certain dose of I want to trip balls. I went through an entire list of all possible drugs with these effects, and it's either something made up for the show, or it would be a combination of a whole lot. Either way, it's pretty fair to say this is not legal to own or trade. And Korea is not a fan. That would be 10 years and 100 million won for just owning the stuff, and giving it to your newfound friend gives you another 2 years and 20 million. And although they are having fun, remember kids, a drug-taking murderer is not a great role model. Who wasn't having any fun, however, was the crypto boy going by the name of MG Coin. Thanos decides to find a new girlfriend after his first got unalived because of a bee. This new girl, however, doesn't buy it and is not impressed by the infinity nails.
Senorita, excuse me. 너 게임 나랑 같이 하자.
내가 왜? 인피니티 스톤은 다 모았고?
Of course. 지금부터 내 앞을 가로막는 자들은 내가 싸그리 쓸어버릴 거야. 넌 내 뒤에만 있으면 안전해.
The girl mocks him, and he says he will destroy anything in the way of his greatness. And this is where our boy MG Coin comes in. Thanos ended up in this Squid show because he lost all his money in some crypto scams promoted by the influencer. He wanted to jump off a bridge, but that is where the recruiter stepped in. However, when Thanos wakes up in his new pajama, he finds MG Coin himself, and he isn't afraid to show his hate for him. In a gentle but threatening way, Thanos explains how he will make sure MG Coin is going to win the Squid Game, so he can then go and pay him. However, he forgot in order for MG Coin to win, he would have to die. But that doesn't take away the fact that he said he would own him and destroy him if he doesn't comply. This is a serious criminal threat and gives him another 3 years behind bars. So with 3 crimes now set in stone, Thanos only needs 3 more to become inevitable. Sadly, one of the stones doesn't come with serious sacrifice. In the game Mingle, the contestants are put on a giant rotating disc. At some point, a number gets called out and you have to enter a room with not more or less than the called number. But as Thanos and his newfound friend are enjoying themselves, all of a sudden the number 4 gets called out. However, from the previous game, the Thanos squad consists of 5 players. He has to think really hard and drop one. As a real leader, he decides quick and saves everyone.
경수, you! Ow!
However, after he enters the room with 4 and the room is locked in, he asks the gang where Gyung-soo is. He gets angry and sad as he sees his friend die in the sweep, not realizing he is the one responsible. This kick is pretty messed up and would add to his assault charges. And yes, that was plural, as his friend MG Coin also got assaulted by the Purple Titan.
그치?
시발 새끼.
And he even wanted to fight Big Daddy himself, but he was not even close to getting a hit in on Mr. Front. But all strikes are most likely another 2 years. I mean, at least he can write some more cool bars in jail. You would think that would be it, right? But the most surprising crime didn't even happen during a game. In this season of Squid Game, the players were split, and Thanos declared himself the leader of Team O and was as loyal as possible. Every voting round, he would skip towards the buttons with pride to enter his team. But after a while, he wanted to really show his commitment. Maybe it were the girlfriends he wasn't able to secure. But next up, he rizzed up the O button.
Let's go!
It's pretty disgusting, and you would think that's all it is, but it's actually also illegal, especially since the pandemic. A lot of players had to press that button after him, and you don't know what kind of diseases are on that purple man's tongue. For this diabolical action, he would likely receive a fine of another 1 million won. And as we were talking about hitting buttons, you might want to hit that subscribe button. Don't kiss it though. I don't want to feel your saliva through the screen, and phone screens are kind of radioactive, so be careful out there. Other places that are disgusting are, of course, toilets. And toilets bring us to the final infinity stone, the toilet party. After a tie in the votes, the tension was rising and the men were feeling it. So when Thanos had another interaction with MG Coin, he decided he was done with it.
흥분하는 건 뭐 있네. 야, MG 코인. 너 내일 재투표할 때 내가 네 손가락 잘라다가 사귀자고 할 거야.
His actions started an entire brawl in the men's toilet. Meanwhile, in the female toilet, the women were just crying and comforting each other, but not Thanos. As the brawl unfolds, multiple people end up dead. Thanos was now on the verge of killing someone with his own bare hands. His victim is, of course, none other than Mr. MG Coin. But just on the brink of death, he found a fork in his pocket. He was saving for a midnight snack and stabs the purple man. Even with a fork deep-throated, he still slides on the floor like a zombie trying to be inevitable. But little did we know that would be the rapper's last breath. He will and won't be missed. This would have been an attempted murder charge, but sadly, there is no one left to receive the actual charge. But I guess his corpse can rot in jail for another lifetime. And for the brawl he started, he also gets another 3 years. As you cannot be starting riots, especially in public toilets. Toilets are for pee-pee and poo-poo only. Guys, leave the rest for someplace else. And with that, we can finally answer the question how long Thanos' prison sentence would have been had he won Squid Game. The answer is a life sentence, 28 years, and a fine of 21 million won, which would be around $14.3 thousand. I think it's pretty fair to say, even though he is a drug-munching murder machine, he did carry the show. Now let's go over the new Thanos, his boyfriend, although now ex-Namgyu. Let's go back a little to the start again to see how Namgyu's backstory lead him down this path. Let's start with his first crime. Namgyu and his buddy Thanos weren't happy about losing money in crypto. So who do they blame? Not themselves, but a YouTuber named Myungi who gave them the advice they followed. Instead of moving on, they decide to bully him non-stop, confronting him in public and making threats like it's all his fault.
그래도 이 새끼 그 코인 때문에 날린 것만 5억이 넘어. 임 잘해서.
쓰니까 좀 비켜줄래?
씨발 먹는 건 존나 싫은데.
먹고 싶어?
Here's the thing, following bad advice doesn't give you the right to harass someone. What they're doing counts as intimidation, and the law takes that seriously. You can't just scare or threaten someone because your investment didn't work out. If caught, both Namgyu would be looking at 1 year in prison. And with tempers flaring, this probably isn't the last time he crosses the line. Right after the confrontation, Namgyu starts spiraling. He turns to Thanos and says he's going to get overwhelmed if he doesn't get high. Then without hesitation, he takes illegal drugs from him. Right there, no shame, no second thoughts.
했던 거 그 십자가
I don't know what the fuck are you talking
때문에 우리 다 죽어.
내 남수야.
개땀이? 형, MD 할 때 진짜 엔간한 건 다 제가 약 넣어든 적.
뭐라 했지?
Using illegal substances is still a crime, no matter how stressed you are. Saying you're overwhelmed isn't a free pass to break the law. Taking drugs like that can lead to fines, arrest, and a whole new set of problems. If caught, Namgyu would be facing a 1,001 fine. It's a small penalty, but it's one more strike on his growing record, and things could get worse from here. During the crucial voting round, Namgyu doesn't let things play out fairly. Instead, he corners player 048 and pressures him to vote to continue the game. It's not persuasion, it's force, and in a situation this serious, that crosses the line.
배신하지 마.
48번.
Forcing someone to vote a certain way, especially under pressure in a life or death game, is coercion. It doesn't matter if it's just a vote. If you take away someone's free will, the law steps in. If caught, Namgyu would be looking at 5 years in prison. But his crime doesn't stop here. Namgyu and Thanos corner another player in the bathroom, getting in his face and scaring him just for the fun of it. Classic intimidation move.
I'm sorry, boy. 형 배신하면 형 마음이 너무 아파.
너 때문에 진짜로.
Oh, boy.
Following someone into a bathroom and threatening them? That's intimidation, plain and simple. Doesn't matter if it's part of a game, fear tactics like that are illegal. If caught, both Namgyu and Thanos would be looking at 1 year in prison. But Namgyu keeps stacking up his sentences. Things take a deadly turn when a fight breaks out in the bathroom. Namgyu doesn't try to escape or defend himself. He grabs a fork and stabs another player. The blow is fatal. No hesitation, no second thoughts, just cold-blooded murder. Stabbing someone to death even during a fight isn't self-defense when you go that far. That's murder. And in the eyes of the law, that means one thing. If caught, Namgyu would be facing a life sentence. But it's far from over because Namgyu doesn't stop at one murder. Right after the bathroom fight, he returns to the dorm, sees Seimi standing alone, and without warning, he attacks her. The result? Another player dead at his hands. This wasn't defense, and it wasn't an accident. It was a deliberate attack with deadly intent. That makes it murder in the eyes of the law. If caught, Namgyu would be facing another life sentence. But for Namgyu, even this is not enough. After Thanos dies, Namgyu doesn't grieve. He loots. Straight to the body, zero hesitation. He grabs the cross, opens it up like it's a vending machine, and pockets the contents. Back in the dormitory, he decides now's the time for a snack. Except it's not food. It's a drug. And he swallows it without blinking, like this is just part of his bedtime routine. That's drug possession. Not exactly subtle, not remotely legal, and that earns him 4 years in prison. And now that he's under the influence, things go from stupid to legally actionable. Still riding the high of having absolutely no boundaries, Namgyu decides it's time to emotionally body slam someone. He finds Minsu, who's barely holding it together after Seimi's death, and starts pushing buttons like it's a sport. He brings up the loss, twists the knife, and threatens him, not physically, just enough to let everyone know he's not here for comfort. Minsu says nothing. This is bullying, no charges filed. But if being a menace were a felony, he'd already be serving time. And having successfully added nothing to anyone's healing process, Namgyu turns his attention to something even dumber. At one point in the game, a blue-vested player is being chased. He runs, terrified, while Namgyu and Myunggi split up to track him down. Eventually, the blue vest ends up cornered in a room with Myunggi. Tension builds. Then Myunggi lunges with a knife. Just as things escalate, Namgyu bursts in. The blue vest tries to escape but gets knocked to the ground. What follows is less of a fight and more of a group project in poor life choices. Myunggi starts stabbing and Namgyu jumps in without hesitation. When it's clear both of them need to kill the person to get the win, they coordinate. Not to stop, but to stab at the same time. Because nothing says collaboration like splitting a murder evenly. That's murder, and Namgyu earns a life sentence. And with the blood barely dry, he's already moving on to his next masterpiece in bad judgment. After their last victim drops, Namgyu and Myunggi remember a small technicality. 2 killers can't split one body, so naturally they decide to go get another. They spot their next target, a player in a blue vest, already running for his life. He hides. It doesn't help. Namgyu and Myunggi track him down, corner him, and go to work. They stabbed him together at the same time. Namgyu, ever the student of creepy behavior, pauses to admire the exact moment the light leaves the victim's eyes, like he's taking mental notes for a hobby no one asked for. That's murder again, and that's another life sentence. But don't worry. Namgyu still isn't finished chasing whatever the opposite of therapy is. Elsewhere, the so-called shaman group is wandering the halls, still following player 44 like she's got Wi-Fi and GPS. She leads them to a door she claims is the exit. Everyone's hopeful. She opens it and immediately runs, because behind the door are Myunggi and Namgyu, who waste no time. They rush out and take down 2 of her followers on the spot. No questions, no hesitation, just full chaos, delivered with sharp objects. That's a double murder, which means another life sentence for Namgyu and 15 more years for being an accessory for Myunggi. And now that doors have become weapons, Namgyu's next contribution to society somehow involves even less subtlety. While walking through the maze, Namgyu and Myunggi come across a dead body. Most people would have taken one look and kept walking. Namgyu, for reasons only he understands, crouches down and starts poking it with a knife. Not to investigate, not to confirm anything, just out of morbid curiosity and a complete lack of boundaries. He keeps at it for a bit. There's no tactical reason. It's not part of the game. It's just Namgyu doing whatever his brain thinks is helpful, which, once again, it isn't. Next to the body is player 100, pretending to be dead. A solid plan until Namgyu spots him. He walks over, pulls a knife, and puts it to the guy's neck. He doesn't go through with it, but only because Myunggi asks him to keep moving. That's desecration of a corpse, which earns him 3 years. Add another 3 for intimidation with a weapon, because apparently threatening people while loitering around a dead body is part of his process. And now that he's warmed up, Namgyu turns to his next crime. Back in the dorm, Namgyu suddenly realizes he's missing something. Not his dignity, the cross. He panics and goes straight to a guard, asking to retrieve what he accidentally left behind. The guard says no. Namgyu responds by trying to snatch the man's gun and start a fight in the middle of the hallway. Because nothing solves a misunderstanding like attempted armed robbery in a jumpsuit, and that's assault. He gets 3 years. In the final round, Namgyu is already a mess. He's standing at the base of a rope course, visibly panicking like someone who suddenly realized upper body strength isn't optional. He's sweating, shaking, and clearly not in the mindset to do anything involving heights or coordination. Minsu walks over and for once seems mildly concerned. He asks if Namgyu's okay. Naturally, Namgyu responds the way he always does by telling him to leave. Minsu doesn't. Instead, he pulls out the necklace, the one Namgyu's been obsessing over since the beginning. He waves it around a bit, doesn't hand it over, and casually threatens to throw it. Namgyu flips. He goes from hostile to desperate in seconds. Suddenly, it's all apologies, bargaining, and a little light begging with a side of emotional instability. Minsu doesn't care. He tosses the necklace onto the middle of the course and tells Namgyu to go get it. So he does, jumping, scrambling, crawling like his entire personality is falling apart in real time. He reaches it, opens it up, and stares inside. It's empty. Confusion sets in as he realizes he risked everything for nothing. Then the rope swings in like it's on a schedule, hits him straight on, and sends him off the platform. He falls. Game over. No win, no glory. Just a man who died chasing a necklace that had already quit on him. That's how it ends. As we finish up, Namgyu's full list of crimes includes intimidation with 2 years, coercion with 5 years, drug use with a 1,001 fine, drug possession with 4 years, assault with 3 years, desecration of a corpse with 3 years, intimidation with a weapon with 3 years, and accessory to murder with 15 years. On top of that, 4 counts of murder earn him 4 life sentences. Bullying was not criminal, but still deeply unnecessary. In total, that's 4 life sentences, 35 years in prison, a 1,001 fine, and a long list of reasons he should never be put in charge of anything. This was all for the crimes of Namgyu. If you want to see more videos like this, click the video on screen now.